What's up, Dub Nation? Welcome to episode 1 of the DubsIn4 Podcast. So, my name is Ethan, and this is a little something that I'm going to be starting up. Just podcast talking about my thoughts about Warriors basketball, covering the NBA, Warriors mostly, but just the NBA in general, talking about the things going on around the league. Right now we're in the offseason, just talking about offseason moves, all sorts of things. Huge Warriors fan here. Been a Warriors fan for pretty much my whole life. I grew up watching sports with my dad, and my dad's from San Francisco, Bay Area. I've supported all the teams that he supported as well. Big fan of the Warriors, 49ers, baseball giants as well. So we're just going to be covering mostly basketball. I mean, eventually we might delve into, football, baseball topics, whatever. But mostly this is going to be a basketball show, and mostly this is going to be a Warriors show. Again, I'll dip into other teams in the NBA as well, but that's my thing. Warriors are my thing. Know a lot about the NBA. Been watching for years now. So we're just going to kind of go right into this. My dream is to get into sports media, and I figured that this is probably just the best way to start it. So I'm going to be uploading weekly. That's the plan. That's the goal. I'm going to try to upload every Monday. Just getting stuff out, getting just, a sizable episode out for anybody who cares to listen to it. I don't really even know if anybody's going to pick this up, but we'll see. I'm going to start going for it. This has been something I've wanted to do for a while. I'm finally starting to, get going on it. So I'm really excited about this. I think that if I do this right, I'll be able to be successful. But again, that all depends. But I'm really going to go for it, and we're just going to see how this happens. But enough of that. We're going to talk basketball now. So, well, first of all, just for the first episode, we're going to talk about the Warriors offseason in general, because the offseason is basically over. There's only a couple moves left to be made. As of right now, the only really big free agents left on the market, Carmelo Anthony, after his buyout with the Hawks is complete, he'll probably sign with Houston. Same thing for Clint Capella. He'll probably go back to the Rockets. It's an interesting situation with him, but again, we'll get into more of that later. The point is, offseason is pretty much over. Most of the big names have chosen what team they're going to, and pretty much all the big trades have happened now that Kawhi and Carmelo trades have gone through. So, we're going to talk about the Warriors. Their offseason is pretty much over. They have 13 players on the roster. Reports have said that they're probably only going to keep 14 for now, in case they feel the need to upgrade one of their two-way players or sign someone in the middle of the season. But we'll see what happens there. But for right now, we have 13 players on the roster. Hopefully, the 14th will be Pat McCaw. It's looking that way, but we're expecting that to happen within the next couple days, but we'll see. Some things take time. Anyway, we're going to talk about the Warriors offseason. And first, we're going to go talk about the two players that are returning to Golden State that were on the team last year who just signed new deals. So first, big name, Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant signed a 2-year, $61 million deal with a player option for the second year. So this pretty much came as no surprise. We knew that he was coming back. We just didn't know the terms of the deal. His first two deals with Golden State were pretty much the same as this one, 2 years with a player option for the second. So it was a little bit surprising to see him take that deal again, but right now that helps the Warriors in the short term. In the long term, it depends. But KD, obviously, really big part of the team, back-to-back Finals MVP, delivered us 2 straight championships, so he's right now taking less money than he could have. If he had signed a max deal, he would be making $35 million this season. Instead, he's only making $30. So that saved the Warriors enough money to be able to sign DeMarcus Cousins. They would have been able to use their mid-level exception anyway, but it saves the front office all that luxury tax and stuff like that. So he's basically just helping out the front office and the ownership, not having to pay that much money. And he's okay with taking less. He's made that clear. He already makes a ton of money. He gives a lot of it away in charities and stuff like that. So, Kevin Durant, he's a great person. He's willing to take less money in order for the team's success to happen, and that's what he's proven again. That'll be interesting to see what happens next summer as well, because if he does opt out of his deal, he will join Klay Thompson and DeMarcus Cousins as big free agents for the Warriors. It depends on if they can get an extension done with Klay during this season, or probably DeMarcus isn't coming back. We're assuming that he'll only be here for 1 year. I'll get to that when I talk about him. But KD will be interesting to see what he does next summer, but not really too consequential in the grand scheme of things. Again, we knew he was coming back. It was just the terms of the deal, and it saves them money in the short term. It's kind of a little bit of a dance, sort of a thing where it's like, well, he's not signing long term. He may decide to leave in free agency. That's what he did to OKC. They didn't expect him to leave, and he did. I don't see him leaving in the near future. It could happen. Who knows? Just depends on how things go. Right now, he appears to love it in Golden State, so we'll just have to see how things happen. But Kevin Durant is a Warrior for at least one more season. More than likely, it will be more than that. Just we'll have to keep giving him new deals. Anyway, we're going to move on to the next player who's coming back, and that is Kevon Looney, re-signing on a 1-year minimum deal. A lot of people were concerned when the Warriors declined his option for this season. They declined his option, and then pretty much as soon as they did, he started to become a contributor, because the first couple of years he had a lot of hip injuries, was kind of struggling breaking into the rotation, but throughout the playoff run, he proved that he can be a consistent contributor to what the Warriors are doing. So really nice to see Looney back, and it's actually on less money than they would have had to pay him if they had accepted his team option. So just basically the reason he didn't get another contract was because there's not a lot of money on the market this summer. Because of the summer of 2016, a lot of teams just don't have cap space, and the teams that do are using it on bigger names than Looney. So really it was a great thing for the Warriors that just the circumstances that allowed him to come back on a deal like this. It is only 1 year, so we'll have to see, again, what happens next summer, what kind of steps he makes in his progress this season, how well he plays, stuff like that. But again, we'll have to see all that. Looney was a really good contributor. We're excited to have him back, and we'll just have to see, this is similar to Kevin Durant, what happens next summer with him, because next summer is shaping up to be a huge free agent market. There's going to be a lot more money, but there's also a lot of players on the market too that are going to eat up that cap space. So we'll just have to see if Looney is able to come back for 2 years from now. He'll be back in a Warriors uniform next season, which is exciting. He's a good contributor. He's maybe our starting center. We don't know. I'd say he's a better fit at power forward, but he started at center in the playoffs for a lot, but we'll see. Anyway. Moving on, this is the big one, obviously. Warriors signed DeMarcus Cousins using their mid-level exception, $5.3 million for 1 year. Wow. This is one that pretty much nobody saw coming. Boogie is, all-NBA center, all-NBA first team, but previously in his career, I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on that, but, he's just been pretty much one of the best centers in the league for a number of years now. And coming off that Achilles injury and questions about his fit and his locker room presence scared a lot of teams off. Achilles injuries can be devastating for a player his size, and a lot of teams understandably had concerns about his recovery. He probably won't even play until December, January, February, and his presence in the locker room has been a concern throughout his career. And just fit basketball-wise, how is he going to mesh with the team? But the Warriors decided that they can risk all those things, and obviously they can. They're the best team in basketball. They have room to take a risk, quotes on a risk there, adding DeMarcus Cousins, because even if he doesn't pan out, they can always just let him walk next summer, or even if it becomes a huge problem, they can ship him away at the trade deadline and get something back for him. Because a player of his caliber on a deal like that, just ship him east, and he'll never be a problem. But basically, it just made everybody super mad, and that's okay because the Warriors have been doing that for a couple years now. But Boogie. Huge signing. He probably won't play for, till January. That's what I mentioned, that Looney would be the starting center earlier. Obviously, he won't be when Boogie is healthy, but leading up until he comes back, we'll see. But yes, DeMarcus Cousins, huge addition. Basketball-wise, it'll be interesting to see what kind of fit he's going to be. Last year, he averaged 25 points a game, 25.2. He will not put up those numbers again. We can say with confidence that he won't do that again. With Durant and Curry carrying the scoring load, Klay Thompson as well. Draymond Green even averages, a sizable amount of points per game. So it's like, where would DeMarcus Cousins fit? How many points is he going to get? What is his usage rate going to be? But it gives Golden State something that they haven't had, just a low post presence, somebody that can score inside easily. I'm really just excited to see how they are going to utilize him and how he's going to be able to fit in with the team. It makes sense on his end. He said himself that he didn't get any other offers, no other offers that he was going to consider. So it was just like, well, let's just make everybody really mad and go to Golden State. And he gets to rehab his Achilles and low pressure. There's not any pressure on him this season. If he comes back and he's not at full strength, it's like, well, at least you won a championship. He's not pressured to, carry the scoring load every night. There can be nights that he can just rest and, take it off, not feel the pressure to put the ball in the basket. He has teammates that are going to do that. So it really makes sense on his end, but it was still surprising just to see him taking that mid-level exception, the $5 million deal. But I guess just not a lot of teams wanted to offer him that money, so the Warriors said, we'll take him. And so, it'll be interesting. The Warriors have 5 All-Stars in their starting lineup. Boogie won't be an All-Star this year because he'll be out pretty much until the All-Star break. But it'll be exciting, So that's maybe the biggest signing of the offseason outside of LeBron James. But again, it's probably only just for 1 year. He wants to, rehab his injury, kind of fix his image a little bit, prove that he is worth that max deal that teams thought he was going to be before he had that injury, and cash in next summer with a different team. But that's it for Cousins. Moving on to Jonas Jerebko, signed on a 1-year veterans minimum deal. He was not originally a free agent. He was waived by the Utah Jazz before his contract became guaranteed. He had I believe it was a $4.2 million deal for this season, non-guaranteed. So the Jazz cut him, and he went through waivers, and now he's going to be on the Warriors on a minimum deal. The news came pretty soon after the Jazz cut him. Just a couple hours later, it said the Warriors were interested, and then the deal was done as soon as he was going to clear waivers. So, it's a nice fit. You can do worse for a 13th, 14th man on your roster. He brings 3-point shooting. He shot 41% from 3 last season, which is respectable. Actually, that's very good. True stretch 4. He's good shooter. Pretty good defender. He can play off the ball. He'll be a nice fit next to, the Warriors All-Stars, as everybody is really. But he'll be good. It's just one of those other veterans, kind of just like a, Swaggy P, David West type guy who's, in the later stages of their career wants to try to win a championship and can help contribute off the bench. And Jerebko fits that mold, and he'll be able to do that. I wonder if they'll even play him at center in small ball lineups. I'd like to see if that could be a thing. Have Jerebko at center before Boogie becomes healthy again. That would be kind of interesting. But anyway, that's all for Coach Kerr to decide, and he'll work that out. But it's, I thought it was a really good deal. Nice pickup. They kind of sprang into action when he was released by the Jazz, which means that they were excited about him. They had him on their radar, because the deal was done just a few hours after he was released. So you can definitely do worse for a 14th man on your roster. So Jerebko, good pickup. And then the last offseason move that they've made is they've signed Damian Lee to a 2-way deal. Damian Lee used to play for Santa Cruz. He was on the D-League team, G-League team now. But he was putting up good numbers there, and he got a couple 10-day contracts. He was playing with the Atlanta Hawks, had a stretch of a couple good games there. And not to mention that he is soon to be Steph Curry's brother-in-law. He's engaged to Steph's sister, Sidel. They're going to be married pretty soon, I believe, so kind of keeping it in the family, That's really cool that he's going to be on a two-way contract. He'll be able to play with his brother-in-law, Steph Curry, coming up from the G League, so that'll be really cool. He gets to stay in the Bay Area with his soon-to-be wife and, stay close to his family and just being able to play with Steph Curry, not only as just a teammate, but also he's now part of his family. That's going to be exciting for him. Other than that, it makes sense for him to be on a two-way deal. He can score the basketball. He's going to be good. He's just one of those, another wing who can shoot a three and play defense. And that's what the Warriors have been looking for. They're looking for people on those two-way slots that can come up and contribute during the regular season. And he can definitely do that. Leaving that last roster spot open for a player like Lee is not a bad idea. If he impresses in his play on his two-way deal, they can probably upgrade him to a max or to a full roster spot if they want him for the playoffs, like they did with Quinn Cook last year. So again, we'll have to see how all that shakes out. But that's a really good signing for a two-way. They said that they wanted a player who can contribute on those two-way spots rather than someone who's like more of a developmental project. Bob Myers was saying that they're still kind of trying to figure out the best way to use those two-way slots because they're pretty new. They've only been in the league for 2 years at this point. So I think they've decided that they wanted people who can contribute now because their title window is right now. So they don't want players who are preparing for the future. They're trying to win right now, and the league's going to help them do that. So again, good pickup. I always trust the front office, pretty much. If I ever question anything that Bob Myers does, I just remember that you pretty much just got to trust him. He's gotten us this far. All the moves that he's made. You can say all you want about any of these signings, but really, there's nothing you can say that will go against Bob Myers because of the success that he and the front office have had so far. I always trust him, no matter what happens. So. Those are just my thoughts on the Warriors offseason. I don't really know what I'm going to do with this. I've been talking for about 17 and a half minutes now. I don't know how long I want to make these, but I guess we're just going to wrap that one up here. I kind of may want to make these longer, cover things in a more streamlined way. But next time I'm going to be talking about just the NBA offseason in general. That was my thoughts on the Warriors, but there was a lot more free agent signings, free agent news just from teams around the league. But it'll just be interesting to take a look at what each team has done. I might do team-by-team breakdown, or I might just do the biggest names, because there's a lot of them that really won't matter in the grand scheme of things. These small two-way contracts or undrafted rookies or whatever. But I can talk about LeBron James, Paul George, Carmelo. Carmelo probably won't matter, but what are the other big names that come to mind? I don't know. Dennis Schroeder trade, anything. But I guess I'll leave that one for next time. So I'm gonna wrap that one up here. Those are my thoughts on the Warriors offseason. This has been the DubsIn4 Podcast, and I will see you guys next week.